South Africa has been thrust into a political storm of unprecedented proportions following early morning revelations that an international legal agency has confirmed the issuance of an arrest warrant for the nation's deputy president, Paul Mashatile. The announcement sent shock waves across the political landscape, leaving the African National Congress, ANC, leadership scrambling for control, particularly President Sir Ramaphosa, whose closest ally now finds himself at the center of a judicial maelstrom. Unlike rumors or speculative reporting, this is an official international legal action, one that has rattled the corridors of power in Pretoria and ignited fear among the top brass of the ruling party. The news hit with the force of a freight train, prompting immediate behind-the-scenes emergency strategy sessions at Lutley House and the Union buildings. Senior party officials are reportedly working around the clock to formulate a response, though no consensus has yet been reached. The central question haunting ANC members and the public alike is whether this is the beginning of the end for the party's upper echelon. While the specifics of the charges against Mashatile have yet to be fully disclosed, multiple credible sources suggest he is implicated in a sophisticated and expansive network of corruption with international reach. The allegations are far from minor. They involve international money laundering, fraudulent investment schemes, abuse of foreign development funds, and illicit financial transactions conducted through offshore entities. These are not simple bribes or petty slush funds. The funds in question were allegedly funneled through foreign shell companies, siphoning off money intended for vital public services such as housing, infrastructure, and development projects. The sheer scale of the accusations points to years of meticulous financial maneuvering, with authorities abroad reportedly tracking these transactions for more than 2 years. Recent developments appear to have accelerated the international legal response, culminating in the issuance of this formal arrest warrant under established international cooperation treaties. The political ramifications for President Ramaphosa are enormous. Having previously been indirectly implicated in a series of corruption scandals, including the highly publicized explosive failure scandal, this latest development places him directly under intense scrutiny. Mashatile is not just any deputy. He has been one of Ramaphosa's closest allies, and his political ascent was backed by internal factions within the ANC that also safeguard the president's interests. Rumors of a silent pact between Ramaphosa and Mashatile have circulated for years, fueling speculation about mutual protection and influence over party affairs. With Mashatile now facing serious international charges, that alliance appears to be under siege, and insiders suggest Ramaphosa is weighing drastic measures, including potentially publicly distancing himself from his deputy to preserve whatever credibility remains. However, this strategy carries its own risks, as it could trigger internal backlash from factions still loyal to Mashatile, potentially igniting a factional war within the ANC that the party has not seen in decades. The impact of the arrest warrant extends far beyond Mashatile himself. With his name now tied to transnational criminal investigations, other senior ANC members are reportedly being examined as potential co-conspirators or enablers. While official statements have yet to reveal names, multiple sources indicate that several prominent figures are already engaging legal counsel in anticipation of possible inquiries. This has exposed previously hidden fractures within the party's internal structure, which was once regarded as tightly controlled. Leaks, finger-pointing, and internal maneuvering are becoming increasingly common as the leadership struggles to maintain cohesion amid the growing storm. Political analysts warn that the arrest warrant could trigger a domino effect, with further warrants potentially being issued as additional foreign intelligence agencies join the investigation, increasing pressure on South Africa's top officials. The issuance of an international arrest warrant for a sitting deputy president is unprecedented in South Africa's post-apartheid political history, and has immediately attracted global attention. Several embassies and international media outlets are reporting intensively on the case, framing it as a test of South Africa's commitment to the rule of law and democratic accountability. The scrutiny places South Africa's global reputation at stake, highlighting concerns about governance, transparency, and institutional integrity. Domestically, the timing could not be more sensitive. Public trust in the ANC is at historic lows, particularly among younger voters and urban populations who are increasingly disillusioned with the party's track record on corruption and service delivery. Internal polls suggest declining support, indicating that the party could face significant electoral consequences if it fails to address the scandal decisively. The political calculus for the ANC is fraught with complexity. On one hand, ignoring or downplaying the situation risks further alienating the party's dwindling support base, particularly those who demand accountability and transparent governance. On the other hand, fully cooperating with international authorities to extradite Mashatile could fracture the party internally, creating factions that may engage in overt power struggles. The cracks within the ANC are no longer subtle or hidden. They are visible to the public and under the microscope of international observers. The party which once led South Africa to freedom now faces a high-stakes battle for relevance, legitimacy, and survival. The decision on how to handle Mashatile's case will not only determine the immediate political future of the ANC but could redefine the party's long-term trajectory in South African politics. As the nation watches, the unfolding drama has become a focal point for debates about justice, governance, and political accountability. Analysts suggest that the ramifications of this case could reshape the ANC's internal power structures, influence the upcoming elections, and affect the party's ability to retain public trust. Internationally, South Africa is being tested on its willingness to uphold democratic principles and submit to legal scrutiny even when the accused occupies one of the highest offices in the land. Diplomatic and legal observers are keenly watching how Ramaphosa navigates the crisis, weighing his actions against both domestic political stability and international expectations. Amid this turbulence, the role of public opinion is critical. Social media platforms and news forums are buzzing with discussions about the implications of Mashatile's arrest warrant. Citizens, activists, and civil society groups are demanding clarity, transparency, and accountability. The questions on everyone's mind are clear. Should South Africa comply fully with international authorities? And what does this mean for Ramaphosa's political survival? The answers to these questions could determine the future of the country's ruling party and its credibility on the world stage. The unfolding events serve as a stark reminder that no political figure, regardless of rank or influence, is above the law. As developments continue, the ANC faces a critical juncture. The party must balance internal cohesion with accountability, respond to growing public scrutiny, and address international expectations for justice. How it manages this crisis will resonate far beyond the immediate scandal, influencing South Africa's political landscape for years to come. For observers and citizens alike, the case of Paul Mashatile is more than a legal matter. It is a test of institutional strength, political leadership, and the enduring principles of justice and transparency. In the meantime, political analysts, journalists, and the public are urged to follow developments closely, as each decision, leak, or statement could have profound consequences. The story is far from over, and the coming days will likely bring more revelations, power shifts, and political maneuvers as the ANC grapples with one of the most serious crises in its history. South Africans and the world alike are watching to see if justice will be upheld, whether the ANC can survive internal strife, and what the fate of the country's leadership will ultimately be. The unfolding situation is a clarion call for vigilance, engagement, and the assertion that corruption must not go unchallenged. Citizens are encouraged to actively participate in the democratic process, voice their opinions, and demand accountability. The case of Paul Mashatile may well define a new era of political accountability in South Africa, one where transparency and ethical governance are no longer optional but essential. As the ANC navigates this historic crisis, the decisions made in the coming weeks will shape not only the party's fate but also the broader trajectory of South Africa's democracy, its rule of law, and the confidence of its people in their leaders. The stakes could not be higher. The combination of domestic instability, international scrutiny, and internal factional pressures has created a scenario in which every move by the ANC, Ramaphosa, and Mashatile will be closely analysed and judged. The party's ability to act decisively while maintaining internal unity is being tested like never before. South Africans are watching. The world is watching, and history is waiting to see whether justice, accountability, and governance can prevail over corruption, fear, and political expediency. The coming weeks will define the legacy of not only Paul Mashatile and Ramaphosa but the ANC itself, making this a defining moment in South Africa's political history. The arrest warrant is not merely a legal document. It symbolizes a turning point, a confrontation with long-standing issues of corruption, factionalism, and the intersection of domestic politics with international law. How South Africa responds will send a powerful message to both citizens and the global community about the nation's commitment to accountability and the rule of law. Whether it leads to reform, public backlash, or deeper internal conflict, the case has already altered the political landscape irrevocably. Every decision, every negotiation, every public statement from this point onward carries enormous weight. The ANC stands at a crossroads, facing questions of survival, credibility, and ethical responsibility that will resonate for years. In this unfolding saga, public engagement is crucial. Citizens are urged to voice their opinions, follow developments closely, and demand transparency from their leaders. The choices made by the ANC in response to the arrest warrant for Paul Mashatile will shape the country's political climate, influence voter sentiment, and determine whether South Africa can maintain both its democratic principles and international standing. For a party whose history is deeply intertwined with the nation's freedom and identity, the stakes could not be more significant. The actions taken now will define the legacy of the ANC, the leadership of President Ramaphosa, and the broader trajectory of governance in South Africa. The entire episode is a reminder that leadership carries accountability, and political power is inseparable from responsibility. The international arrest warrant marks a historical moment highlighting the challenges of corruption, factional politics, and the pressure of global scrutiny. South Africa is witnessing a real-time test of governance, rule of law, and democratic resilience. The coming days will not only determine the fate of Mashatile and Ramaphosa, but could also redefine the ANC's role in the country's future, demonstrating whether the party can adapt, survive, and uphold the principles that once made it the beacon of South African liberation and governance.